Is Enel one of the best leaders in OPO7? I think so, and honestly, when it comes to OPO8, he might be pretty darn good as well. Let's take a look at the leader here and take a look at the deck list. This is Enel. He's a 4-life leader from OPO5. His ability says, on my opponent's turn, if my life would become 0, I gain a life instead and trash 1 card from my hand. So Enel is always functionally at 1 more life than you think he is. So if he's at 1 life, he's technically at 2. Very infamous leader, very hard to kill, but a pretty fun deck to play, and a pretty fun deck to turn your brain off and play. So pretty interesting. Let's take a look at some of the cards here in the deck. First we're going to take a look at the 2Ks. We've got Flampe here, 4 of Flampe, fantastic card. If your opponent tries to, keep you at like 2 life, right? A lot of your effects work really well when you're at 1 life, like Yamato. You can play Flampe out, draw that top card, set yourself down to 1, and then play Yamato to heal back up. She nets you a card while she does that as well. Just a fantastic 2K. Next, we've got the Beiges, probably one of the most infamous 2Ks in the deck. Beige has a trigger that stops your opponent or a leader or character from attacking. Very polarizing card. This card can win you a lot of games if it comes off life when you need it. Next, from OPO7, we've got the Frankie. Frankie is another 2K. This 2K comes into play if you have 1 or less life. So if this is your 2nd life or your final life, you can trigger him out, draw a card, and then put a 5K body into play. Very nice addition. And that is the 2Ks that I run. 12 2Ks in Enel. I don't feel like running more than that's necessary, but I really do like to sit around 12. I don't typically like to go less than that. Next, we've got some like a pretty interesting tech that's good against black. So Enel's like one of its most interesting matchups is against black because it's very 50-50. If Lucci sees all of his minus effects, all of his KO effects, his Morias, that matchup can be pretty darn hard. But Shirahoshi kind of gives you an edge up in that because she stops. She basically can be a blocker that's un-KOable, right? If they want to KO Shirahoshi, they have to give you a life when she's KO'd by an effect. Next, to kind of help the aggressive decks, we've got 4 of Onami. So Onami, fantastic trigger from OPO6. Lets you KO any 5 or less cost character on a trigger, and then if you play her out, you can give something banished. So a pretty interesting play line is playing her out on your Tendon turn, giving one of your other big guys banished, swinging life, so they don't gain that life to hand. It goes to the trash, and then Katakuriing Onami back on top of your life, so you get the trigger. Next, one of the final utility cards is Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is still a very good card. Shirahoshi does let you draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards as an on play. So if you're going first and you're on your 5-Don turn, you got nothing else to do, you can play as Shirahoshi and get a better filter your hand, make it better. She's also great off life. She's another great target for Katakuri as well to put on top of your life. Next, we've got another new addition. This is Rocket Luffy. Rocket Luffy is a 5 cost 6,000, and then if you have 2 or less life, you can trash this character and KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, and then draw a card, and then he has a trigger to KO a character of up to 4 or less. A really great card. It's really great into like Doflamingo, Boa, Red Purple Lol while it's still in the meta. Just those aggressive decks that run 4 or less. Just a really great way to kill things, and it nets you a card. So you could typically, in a situation like that, you could swing with it, and then pop it and kill something. You could potentially kill 2 things. Next, we've got one of the best cards right now in the deck, and kind of supports the starving strategy of Enel, is Gadatsu. So Gadatsu KOs a character equal to or less than your opponent's life. So with Enel's typical strategy is to starve your opponent, so don't hit them at all. Let them keep all their life, so that way you can KO 4 and 5 drops pretty easily with Gadatsu. He's also 6,000 power. Next is a little like filler slot here. I'm filling up with Charlotte Capote, just a nice little 7 cost 9,000. This is great against Red Purple Law. It's pretty decent against Lucci too, because if you play this out on your 7-Don turn, it establishes board pressure, but also makes them spend resources to kill it. And if they spend resources to kill my Vanilla, then next turn they may not have nearly as many resources to work with my Yamato or my Katakuri. Then one of the best cards for the Lucci and Red Purple Law matchups is the Rush Enel. He is a 7 cost 7k rush, and then if he would leave the field, I can instead trash the top card of my life. Now keep in mind that you can't do this if Monkey D. Luffy is on the field, so something like Black Yellow Luffy, if they have a Luffy out, you can't do this effect. But it's a pretty great against Lucci, because Lucci has to kill it twice technically, and same with Red Purple Law, they have to basically bottom deck it twice. to get rid of it. So really great card, synergizes with the ability as well because it's on your opponent's turn when they would typically do it, so you can gain that life back. Next we get into the meat, the big boys. First we're going to start off with one of the best big boys at getting rid of 8 drops or less, and that's Katakuri. He also sets up a lot of plays with some of your cards that potentially could be already out on the field. And Katakuri is just really good at dealing with Gecko Moria. He's really good at dealing with Isho. Isho is really annoying in this matchup. If your opponent, just typically because you have such a large hand size, Isho will hit you, take 2 cards out of your hand, and then it's going to give your board -3 when they attach 1 onto it. So it's going to make them Lucci or black decks really good at clearing your bigger and taller threats. So this is a really great answer to that. Would definitely recommend always sticking to 4. Next, another one of the best cards in the deck is 9-cost Yamato. So when they enter, they're going to KO up to one of my opponent's characters with cost equal to or less than the total of our lives. So if I'm starving my opponent, this character could potentially kill, KO a 5-cost or more. If I still have some life. Now typically you do want to play this when you're at 1 or less life because this card does heal you for 1 as well. Then finally we've got Porcus the Ace. This is a new addition from OPO7. This is a 10-cost 10k that has rush if you have 2 or less life, and he also gains you 1 life when he comes in. So this is a really great way to help continue to establish board control, but also potentially close out the game. Then finally, we've got the events here. We've got 4 of one of the best events in yellow right now, which is You're the One Who Should Disappear. You're the One Who Should Disappear is a 0-cost 3k counter, and then has a trigger. If you have 0 life cards, you gain a life. So it's basically a repeat of Enel's ability. So what you can do if this is your bottom life, Enel effect would go off, and so would this effect. So you would basically go back up to 2 life. It's a very, very, very strong play, very, very strong trigger to be on your last life, and can definitely swing some games, win you some games for sure. Then finally, to deal with a lot of the threats that could potentially kill us, is Kingdom Come. KO basically any character and then just trash your life until you have 1. So it's great for Enel because Enel usually already has 1 life. But this is our answer to 9-cost Zoro. This is our answer to Isho. This is our answer to Gecko Moria. It's the answer to any large threat like 8-cost Kid that could potentially be annoying for our deck to deal with. Fantastic card. Matchups wise, this deck's pretty good in the red purple law. It's 50-50 into Lucci. If you see a lot of your threats and they don't see as much big threats or like Morias or KO effects, you could potentially outrace them. Now when I play against a black deck like Lucci, I'm just going to keep swinging face. You want to apply as much pressure as possible. You do not want to starve Lucci or Gecko because Gecko Moria, the card itself, is just so powerful and gives them so much advantage, and they have a really great late game. So I just attack them as much as possible, get them to 0 as fast as possible, and keep putting on pressure. Red Purple All, you want to starve Doflamingo, you want to starve Bo, you want to starve Bonnie, you kind of want to starve as well. Bonnie's an interesting matchup just because if you don't flood the board with a bunch of high drops, they can do a pretty good job controlling your board. And then one of the worst matchups is Nami for sure. But other than that, this is the deck list here. I do have some videos showcasing a very similar deck list to this, minus a few tweaks. This is my current list. So you can check those out right now, hyperlinked and in the description below. But other than that, thanks for watching, everybody.